The vast expanse of space erupted in a dazzling display of destruction. Zephyrian ships, sleek and almost organic in design, weaved desperately through a storm of plasma bolts. Behind them, their home planet Zephyria hung suspended in the void, its once pristine azure surface now marred by spreading infernos visible even from orbit. Aboard the flagship Starweaver, young scientist Zix clung to his console as the ship shuddered under another barrage. His large, luminescent eyes reflected the chaos on the main view screen, a relentless swarm of Khazar warships pursuing the retreating Zephyrian fleet. "Shield integrity at 18%, shouted the ship's captain, her voice strained but steady. "We can't take much more of this." Zix's slender fingers danced across the console, interfacing directly with the ship's systems. As a Zephyrian, his species' unique ability to merge consciousness with technology was both a gift and a curse. He felt every hit the Starweaver took as if it were striking his own body. "The last civilian transports are clear," Zix reported, his melodic voice tight with tension. "But the Khazar are adapting to our evasive patterns. We need something they can't predict." Captain Lyra nodded grimly. "You heard him. All pilots, initiate Protocol Omega, get creative, and get us out of here." The Zephyrian fleet exploded into action, ships splitting off in seemingly random directions. Some executed impossible maneuvers, corkscrewing and looping in ways that defied the laws of physics. Others appeared to flicker and phase, confusing enemy targeting systems. Zix marveled at the raw skill and imagination of his people, even as his heart ached. This was what the Khazar and so many others failed to understand about the Zephyrians. They might be physically frail, with bodies more suited to a low-gravity environment, but their minds were unparalleled. When merged with their technology, a Zephyrian pilot could achieve feats that seemed like magic to outside observers. A cheer went up as the fleet successfully broke through the Khazar blockade. But Zix couldn't bring himself to join in the celebration. His gaze remained fixed on the burning world they were leaving behind. Zephyria, home, soon to be nothing more than a memory. The ship's AI, sensing his distress, gently nudged his consciousness. "Zix, your presence is requested in the Grand Archive." Giving the view screen one last, mournful look, Zix disconnected from his station and made his way through the ship's winding corridors. Every Zephyrian he passed wore the same expression, a mixture of relief, grief, and uncertainty about their future. The Grand Archive was the heart of Zephyrian culture and knowledge. As Zix entered the cavernous chamber, he was struck by how empty it felt. Most of the data crystals that once lined the walls had been distributed among the fleet for safekeeping. What remained was a skeleton crew of the most brilliant Zephyrian minds, working tirelessly to preserve what they could of their civilization. "Ah, Zix. Good, you're here." Elder Ven, her skin bearing the iridescent sheen of extreme age, beckoned him over. "We have a task of utmost importance for you." Zix bowed respectfully. "I am honored, Elder. How may I serve?" Ven's expression was grave. "You are aware that we've been denied asylum by every advanced civilization we've contacted." Zix nodded, a familiar bitterness rising in his throat. The Zephyrians' reputation as a weak species had preceded them. Never mind that they were peaceful, that their technological and cultural achievements were unparalleled. In a galaxy that valued physical might above all, they were seen as easy prey, or worse, as worthless. "We have one last option," Ven continued, "but it's unconventional. Some would call it desperate." She gestured to a nearby console. "There is a planet, far from the galactic core, inhabited by a species still in its technological infancy. They call themselves humans." Zix's antenna twitched with curiosity as he interfaced with the console. Data flooded his mind. Images of a blue-green world, not unlike Zephyria had once been. He saw beings that walked on two legs, their bodies solid and sturdy compared to the willowy Zephyrians. Flashes of their history played out before him. War and peace, cruelty and kindness, destruction and creation. They seem chaotic, Zix observed. Primitive, yet he struggled to find the right word. Passionate, Elder Ven supplied. Yes, that's what struck us as well. They lack our technological prowess, but there's a fire in them, a drive to survive and thrive against all odds. Another elder, Kale, stepped forward. More importantly, they have no standing in the galactic community. Approaching them won't be seen as a violation of any treaties or alliances. Zix's mind raced with the implications. You want to seek refuge with them. But how could they possibly protect us from the Khazar? Ven's eyes twinkled with a hint of mischief. Perhaps they can't. Not yet. But remember, young one, sometimes the most beautiful flowers grow in the harshest environments. Understanding dawned on Zix. You think we can help each other? Elevate them, while they shelter us. Kale nodded approvingly. Precisely. It's a gamble, but one we must take. Our other options have run out. Ven placed a gentle hand on Zix's shoulder. This is where you come in, bright one. We need you to lead the research team. Analyze everything we know about these humans. Find a way for us to approach them that won't trigger their fear or aggression. Zix felt the weight of responsibility settle over him. This wasn't just another scientific puzzle. The fate of his entire species might rest on his findings. I will do my best, elders. But surely there are others more qualified. No, Ven cut him off firmly. You have something the rest of us lack. Zix, you still see the wonder in the universe. You haven't been beaten down by politics and prejudice. We need your fresh perspective. Humbled, Zix bowed his head. Then I accept. Where do I begin? Over the next several days, as the Zephyrian fleet limped through space in search of a safe haven, Zix immersed himself in the study of humanity. He pored over intercepted broadcasts, analyzed their primitive internet, and even studied their art and literature. What he found both thrilled and terrified him. Humans were, in many ways, the antithesis of Zephyrians. Where his people valued harmony and consensus, humans seemed to thrive on conflict and debate. Their short lives burned with an intensity that was almost painful to witness. They were capable of breathtaking cruelty, yes, but also of awe-inspiring kindness and self-sacrifice. Most intriguingly, they were adaptable. In the span of mere centuries, they had gone from horse-drawn carriages to the very beginnings of space exploration. Their potential, if guided and nurtured, could be limitless. As the deadline for his presentation to the Council of Elders approached, Zix found himself working around the clock. He barely ate or slept, his mind constantly interfaced with the ship's systems as he ran simulation after simulation. Finally, mere hours before he was due to present, Zix had a breakthrough. He burst into the council chamber, his usual decorum forgotten in his excitement. Elders, I found it. The key to approaching the humans. The council members stirred, some looking annoyed at the interruption, others intrigued by Zix's enthusiasm. Speak, young one, Ven encouraged. Zix took a deep breath, collecting his thoughts. We've been looking at this all wrong. We can't approach the humans as supplicants or conquerors. We need to appeal to something fundamental in their nature. His eyes shone with conviction. Their curiosity. He waved a hand, and a holographic display sprang to life in the center of the chamber. It showed a Zephyrian ship, but unlike any in their current fleet. This vessel was damaged, limping. We send a small team. Not in one of our advanced ships, but in something that looks like it's on its last legs. We let them discover us. Zix's words tumbled out in a rush. Humans have countless stories about first contact. They're equal parts terrified and thrilled by the idea. If we play into that narrative, appear mysterious, a little helpless, but with hints of advanced technology, their curiosity will overcome their fear. The council chamber erupted in murmurs. Some elders nodded thoughtfully, while others looked skeptical. Elder Kale leaned forward. It's risky, if they react with violence. We'll be prepared, Zix assured him. A skeleton crew with emergency teleportation built into their suits. But I don't think it'll come to that. He gestured to another display, showing scenes of human scientists and explorers. Look at them. The joy they find in discovery. We can tap into that. Ven studied Zix for a long moment, then smiled. You've done well, Zix. This plan is unconventional, to say the least. But these are unconventional times. She turned to the rest of the council. I move that we put this to a vote. All in favor of Zix's curiosity gambit. One by one, hands raised. It wasn't unanimous, but it was a clear majority. Ven nodded solemnly. Then it's decided. Zix, you will lead this mission. Choose your team carefully. The fate of our people may well rest in your hands. As the council dispersed, Zix felt a mixture of elation and terror. He had hoped his plan would be accepted, but to be placed in charge. It was more than he had ever imagined. Looking out at the stars streaking by, Zix allowed himself a moment of hope. Somewhere out there, on a blue-green planet, humanity was going about its daily life, unaware that their destiny was about to become inexorably linked with that of the Zephyrians. Ready or not, Zix whispered to himself, here we come. Dr. Samantha Chen squinted at her computer screen, rubbing her tired eyes. Another late night at the SETI Institute, parsing through endless data streams for any hint of extraterrestrial intelligence. She chuckled to herself, imagining how her colleagues in real scientific fields might view her work. But Samantha couldn't shake the feeling that humanity wasn't alone in the universe. She just needed to prove it. A sudden spike in the readings made her sit up straight. What the? She leaned in, fingers flying across the keyboard. The signal was like nothing she'd ever seen. Coherent, complex, and definitely not natural. Her heart raced as she reached for her phone to alert her superiors. But before she could dial, a deafening roar filled the air. The ground shook, and Samantha watched in disbelief as her coffee mug danced across the desk before shattering on the floor. She rushed to the window, jaw-dropping at the sight that greeted her. A massive object, gleaming and alien, streaked across the night sky, trailing fire and smoke. It was heading straight for the heart of San Francisco. Oh my God, Samantha breathed. First contact. Across the city, chaos erupted as the Zephyrian ship made its dramatic entrance. Emergency sirens wailed, and panicked citizens poured into the streets, pointing and shouting at the impossible sight above them. The ship, a deliberate patchwork of advanced technology and apparent battle damage, limped its way over the bay. It seemed to be aiming for the expansive grounds of Golden Gate Park, but at the last moment, it veered off course. With a screech of tearing metal, it clipped the top of the De Young Museum before plowing into the grass of the music concourse. Inside the crippled vessel, Zix picked himself up off the floor, wincing at the pain in his slender limbs. Status report. He called out, helping a fellow crew member to her feet. Artificial gravity is offline, came the response. Hull integrity at 62%. Better than we expected, actually. Zix nodded grimly. Their controlled crash had gone mostly according to plan, but now came the truly dangerous part. Initiate first contact protocols, he ordered, and may the cosmic harmony be with us all. Back at the SETI Institute, Samantha had barely taken 2 steps out of the building when she was intercepted by a black SUV screeching to a halt in front of her. A man in a crisp suit stepped out. Dr. Chen. I'm Agent Reeves, Homeland Security. We need you to come with us immediately. Samantha hesitated for only a moment before nodding. I assume this is about our visitors. Reeves' expression remained impassive. Ma'am, you have no idea. The drive to the crash site was tense, with Samantha peppering the stoic agent with questions he largely deflected. As they approached Golden Gate Park, she gasped at the scene unfolding before them. The area was a hive of activity. Military vehicles formed a perimeter around the downship, while hazmat-suited figures scurried about taking readings. News helicopters circled overhead, their spotlights adding to the surreal atmosphere. As Samantha stepped out of the SUV, she was immediately struck by an acrid, alien smell in the air. Her scientific mind raced, cataloging every detail. The ship's design was like nothing she'd ever seen. Organic curves blended seamlessly with crystalline structures that seemed to pulse with inner light. A stern-looking woman approached, introducing herself as General Miranda Vega. "Dr. Chen, I understand you're one of our foremost experts in theoretical xenobiology. We need your insights. The beings inside the ship are requesting to communicate, but we need to establish safety protocols first." Samantha nodded, trying to keep her excitement in check. "What do we know so far?" "Not much," Vega admitted. "Our scans can't penetrate the hull completely, but we've detected multiple life forms inside. They appear to be bipedal, but beyond that," she shrugged. A commotion near the ship drew their attention. A section of the hull was shifting, reconfiguring itself into what looked like an airlock. "They're coming out," Samantha breathed. The assembled soldiers raised their weapons, tension thick in the air. General Vega barked into her radio, "Hold your fire unless explicitly ordered." With a hiss of escaping air, the airlock opened. A thin mist spilled out, and in its wake came a figure that made Samantha's breath catch in her throat. The alien, there was no other word for it, was tall and slender, with iridescent skin that seemed to shimmer in the harsh floodlights. Its large, expressive eyes blinked rapidly, adjusting to the light. Most strikingly, delicate antennae atop its head waved gently, as if tasting the air. Samantha took an involuntary step forward, only to be held back by Agent Reeves. "Dr. Chen, please." But Samantha was focused entirely on the alien. She realized, he was looking directly at her. And then, to everyone's shock, he spoke. "Greetings, people of Earth," the alien said, his voice melodic and accented, but perfectly understandable. "I am Zix of the Zephyrian people. We come seeking refuge and friendship." The next few hours were a blur of activity. More Zephyrians emerged from the ship, all looking worse for wear. Samantha found herself thrust into the role of primary communicator, her years of theoretical work suddenly put to very practical use. She learned that the Zephyrians were a peaceful, highly advanced species fleeing from a terrible enemy. Their ability to interface directly with technology fascinated her, and she watched in awe as they effortlessly interacted with Earth computers, bridging incompatible systems with ease. But not everyone was as thrilled by the visitors. As dawn broke over San Francisco, Samantha could see the fear and suspicion on many faces, both military and civilian. Conspiracy theories were already spreading like wildfire online, ranging from alien invasion scenarios to government hoaxes. General Vega pulled Samantha aside, her expression grim. "Dr. Chen, I need your honest assessment. Are these beings a threat?" Samantha chose her words carefully. "Based on everything I've seen, no. They're refugees, General. Advanced, yes, but also desperate. This could be the greatest opportunity humanity has ever." She was cut off by a commotion near the Zephyrian ship. A group of soldiers were arguing with Zix, weapons raised. "Hey!" Samantha shouted, jogging over. "What's going on here?" One of the soldiers, a young man with fear in his eyes, pointed his rifle at Zix. It was doing something to the computers, probably hacking our systems. Zix's antennae drooped in distress. "I was merely attempting to interface and provide information about our medical needs. We have injured among us who require attention." Samantha stepped between them, heart pounding. "Lower your weapon, soldier." "That's an order." She silently prayed her bluff would work. For a tense moment, the soldier's finger hovered near the trigger. Then, slowly, he lowered the gun. Samantha let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. She turned to Zix, offering what she hoped was a reassuring smile. "I apologize for the misunderstanding. Please, tell me about your injured. I'll make sure they get the help they need." As Zix began explaining, Samantha's mind raced. The situation was balanced on a knife's edge. One wrong move, One misunderstanding, and humanity's first contact could turn into a disaster. But looking into Zix's large, expressive eyes, Samantha felt a surge of determination. These beings had traveled unimaginable distances, fleeing persecution and violence. They had chosen Earth as their last hope. She would not let fear and ignorance drive them away. As the sun rose fully over San Francisco, bathing the crashed ship in golden light, Samantha made a silent vow. She would bridge the gap between humans and Zephyrians, no matter the cost. The future of both species might depend on it. Little did she know, far above the Earth, other eyes were watching. The Khazar battle fleet, having tracked the Zephyrian refugees across the galaxy, had finally caught up. Their weapons were primed, their orders clear: no survivors, no matter the collateral damage. Earth's trial by fire was about to begin. Copyretry. 3 weeks after the Zephyrians' dramatic arrival, San Francisco had become the epicenter of a global phenomenon. The crashed ship in Golden Gate Park, now surrounded by a hastily constructed research facility, drew crowds of onlookers and protesters alike. Dr. Samantha Chen rubbed her temples, fighting off another stress headache as she watched the latest news report. Images of demonstrations flashed across the screen, some welcoming the aliens with open arms, others demanding their immediate departure. The Zephyrian question continues to divide the nation, the anchor intoned. While many celebrate the potential advancements their technology could bring, others fear the attention of hostile alien forces. The president is expected to address these concerns in a speech tonight. Samantha muted the TV and turned to her unexpected roommate. Zix sat cross-legged on the floor, his slender fingers dancing in the air as he manipulated holographic displays only he could see. "How's it going?" she asked, marveling at the alien's ability to interface with technology. Zix's antennae twitched in what Samantha had come to recognize as a smile. "Fascinating," he replied. "Your internet, while primitive, contains such a wealth of information. I'm particularly intrigued by something called memes." Samantha chuckled. "Maybe we should focus on the task at hand. Any progress on the translation matrix?" "Indeed," Zix said, his tone growing serious. "I believe I've mapped enough linguistic patterns to create a real-time translator for all major Earth languages. It should help smooth diplomatic relations considerably." Their comfortable exchange was interrupted by a sharp knock at the door. Agent Reeves entered, his usual stoic expression tinged with concern. "Dr. Chen, we have a situation. There's been a break-in at the research facility. Several pieces of Zephyrian tech are missing." Samantha's blood ran cold. "What? How is that possible?" "The security was compromised," Reeves finished grimly. "We suspect an inside job. We need you and Zix to come with us immediately to assess the damage." As they rode to the facility, Samantha's mind raced. Who would steal the alien technology? And more importantly, what did they plan to do with it? The research center was a hive of activity when they arrived. FBI agents combed the area for clues while distraught scientists gave statements. Samantha's heart sank as she saw the empty pedestals where delicate Zephyrian devices had once stood. "This is bad," she muttered to Zix. "In the wrong hands, your tech could be incredibly dangerous." Zix's normally iridescent skin had taken on a pale, sickly hue. "You don't understand," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "One of the stolen devices is a prototype for our consciousness-merging technology, if someone reverse engineers it." He didn't need to finish the thought. Samantha could imagine the terrifying possibilities. Mind control, forced information extraction, or worse. "We need to find it," she said firmly. "And I think I know where to start." Samantha led Zix to her old office, booting up her computer. "I've been monitoring some of the more extreme online forums," she explained. "Conspiracy theorists, anti-alien groups. Most of it is harmless paranoia, but there's been chatter about a big move against the Zephyrians." As she scrolled through message boards, a pattern emerged. Coded references to a group called Humanity First and a mysterious figure known only as the Guardian. "Look at this," Samantha pointed to a recent post. "They're planning something big tonight, some kind of demonstration of human superiority over alien tech." Zix leaned in, his antennae quivering with anxiety. "We must stop them. If they misuse our technology, it could have catastrophic consequences for both our species." Samantha nodded grimly. "I think I can track their location based on some of these posts, but we can't go to the authorities. If there really is an inside man, it could tip them off." "Then we go ourselves," Zix said with unexpected determination. Samantha blinked in surprise. "Zix, it's too dangerous. These people hate aliens. If they see you—" "I will not hide while my people's technology is used to harm others," Zix interrupted. "Besides, I may be able to disable the devices remotely if we get close enough." Reluctantly, Samantha agreed. They slipped out of the facility, using Zix's ability to manipulate security cameras to cover their tracks. As night fell, they found themselves in an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city. Samantha's heart pounded as they crept towards a dimly lit window. Inside, a group of people huddled around a table laden with Zephyrian tech. At the head stood a tall, charismatic man Samantha recognized from online videos, the Guardian himself. "Tonight," he was saying, "we show the world that humanity doesn't need these alien saviors. With their own weapons, we'll drive them from our planet and reclaim our destiny among the stars." Samantha felt Zix tense beside her. "He doesn't understand," the alien whispered. "Our technology isn't meant for violence. If they try to weaponize it—" Suddenly, alarms blared. "Intruders!" someone shouted. Before they could react, rough hands grabbed them, dragging them inside. The Guardian's eyes widened as he saw Zix. "Well, well, the guest of honor has arrived." He picked up a sleek Zephyrian device. "Care to demonstrate how this works?" Samantha struggled against her captor. "Don't do this. You have no idea what you're dealing with." But the Guardian wasn't listening. He activated the device, and a shimmering field enveloped him. For a moment, nothing happened. Then he screamed. The device exploded in a burst of energy, sending everyone flying. In the chaos, Samantha broke free and rushed to Zix's side. "We have to shut it down," she yelled over the growing maelstrom of energy. Zix nodded, his eyes glowing as he interfaced with the overloading technology. Samantha watched in awe as the alien's consciousness seemed to merge with the swirling energy field. For a heart-stopping moment, she thought she'd lost him. Then, with a final surge, the energy dissipated. Zix collapsed, exhausted but alive. As sirens approached, Samantha looked around at the stunned Humanity First members. The Guardian lay unconscious, his grand plans literally blown apart. In the aftermath, as FBI agents swarmed the warehouse, Samantha sat with Zix in the back of an ambulance. "That was incredibly brave," she said softly, "and a little terrifying to watch." Zix's antennae drooped with fatigue. "It was necessary. But I fear this is only the beginning. There will be others who seek to misuse our gifts." Samantha nodded, a determined glint in her eye. "Then we'll stop them too, together." As dawn broke over San Francisco, casting a golden light on the still-crashed Zephyrian ship, Samantha realized something had fundamentally changed. This wasn't just about first contact anymore. It wasn't even about refugees seeking asylum. This was about two species, thrust together by cosmic chance, learning to overcome their differences and work together. It wouldn't be easy. There would be more fear, more misunderstandings, more guardian-like figures trying to drive them apart. But looking at Zix, seeing the trust and friendship in those alien eyes, Samantha knew it was worth fighting for. Humanity and Zephyrians, side by side, facing whatever the universe might throw at them next. Little did they know, high above the earth, the Khazar battle fleet was making its final preparations, The real test of this fledgling alliance was about to begin. The United Nations General Assembly Hall buzzed with an energy unlike anything in its history. Representatives from every nation on Earth sat side by side with a delegation of Zephyrians, their iridescent skin and delicate antennae a stark contrast to the sea of human faces. Dr. Samantha Chen stood at the podium, her heart racing as she addressed the assembly. 6 months had passed since the Zephyrians' arrival, and she had become the de facto ambassador between the two species. Distinguished delegates, she began, her voice steady despite her nerves. Today marks a historic moment. Earth is ready to take its first steps onto the galactic stage. With the guidance of our Zephyrian friends, we have prepared a delegation to represent humanity at the Galactic Council. A murmur rippled through the crowd. This was it, the moment when humanity would officially announce its presence to the wider universe. Zix, standing beside Samantha, stepped forward. "We are honored to introduce our human allies to the galactic community," he said, his melodic voice carrying easily through the hall. "Together, we hope to forge a new path of cooperation and mutual understanding." As applause filled the chamber, Samantha allowed herself a small smile. It hadn't been an easy road. There were still those who distrusted the aliens, still pockets of resistance like the now disbanded Humanity First. But overall, the alliance between humans and Zephyrians had flourished, leading to advancements in technology, medicine, and space exploration that would have been unthinkable just a year ago. Little did they know, their optimism was about to be severely tested. 2 weeks later, Samantha found herself aboard the Cosmic Harmony, a sleek vessel that combined the best of human and Zephyrian engineering. As they approached the massive space station that served as the seat of the Galactic Council, she couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. "It's incredible," she breathed, taking in the swirling nebulas and distant stars visible through the ship's view screen. Zix nodded, but there was tension in his posture. "Be prepared," he warned. "The Council, they can be challenging. Many species look down on newcomers, especially those they deem primitive." Samantha squared her shoulders. "Well, we'll just have to show them what humanity is capable of." As they docked and made their way through the station's winding corridors, Samantha marveled at the diversity of alien life forms. Creatures of all shapes, sizes, and compositions bustled about, some barely acknowledging the human delegation, others staring openly with curiosity or disdain. The council chamber itself was a vast amphitheater, with representatives from hundreds of species occupying tiered seating. At the center stood a group of imposing aliens, the High Counselors themselves. One of them, a towering being with crystalline skin, stepped forward. "We recognize the delegation from Sol 3, known to its inhabitants as Earth," it intoned, its voice resonating strangely. "You may present your case for recognition." Samantha took a deep breath and began the speech she had rehearsed countless times. She spoke of humanity's achievements, their potential for growth, and their eagerness to join the galactic community. She emphasized the successful integration of Zephyrian refugees on Earth as a testament to their adaptability and compassion. As she finished, a tense silence fell over the chamber. Then, to her shock, laughter erupted from several sections of the audience. A reptilian alien leaned forward, its forked tongue flicking in amusement. "You expect us to believe that a species that hasn't even colonized its own star system is ready for galactic politics? Preposterous." Another counselor, a being that seemed to be made of living smoke, swirled ominously. "And what of the Zephyrians? We cast them out for a reason. Their meddling with consciousness-altering technology is too dangerous to be allowed." Murmurs of agreement spread through the chamber. Samantha felt her heart sink as she realized the magnitude of the prejudice they faced. Zix stepped forward, his antennae quivering with emotion. "Counselors, please. Humanity has shown great promise. Their creativity, their resilience." "Silence," boomed a voice from the shadows. A massive alien, its body covered in scared battle armor, stomped into view. "The Khazar Dominion will not stand for this farce. These humans are nothing but primitives, and the Zephyrians are criminals who fled justice. Samantha's blood ran cold as she recognized the name. The Khazar, the very beings who had driven the Zephyrians from their homeworld. The Khazar representative continued, its voice dripping with menace. We demand that Earth surrender the Zephyrian fugitives immediately. Failure to comply will be considered an act of war against the Dominion. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Some counselors protested the Khazar's aggression, while others seemed all too eager to wash their hands of the whole affair. Samantha's mind raced. This was spiraling out of control faster than she could have imagined. She locked eyes with Zix, seeing her own fear reflected in his alien gaze. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the station. A holographic display flickered to life, showing a massive fleet of Khazar warships dropping out of faster-than-light travel near Earth. This is Admiral Vrock of the Khazar Dominion, a guttural voice announced. We have located the Zephyrian criminals and their human conspirators. If they are not surrendered within one planetary rotation, we will begin orbital bombardment of Earth's major cities. The chamber erupted into pandemonium. Samantha grabbed Zix's arm, pulling him close. We need to get back to Earth now, she hissed. We have to warn them, prepare defenses. But as they turned to leave, they found their path blocked by a group of stern-looking aliens in official uniforms. I'm afraid we can't allow that, one of them said. By order of the Galactic Council, you are to be detained pending resolution of this crisis. Samantha's mind raced. They couldn't be trapped here while Earth faced annihilation. In desperation, she turned to the assembled counselors. Is this what passes for justice in the galaxy? She shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. You would stand by and watch an innocent species be slaughtered because of your prejudices, because it's easier than standing up to a bully. Her words seemed to give some of the aliens pause. She pressed on, her voice growing stronger. Humanity may be young, but we have something many of you seem to have forgotten. Hope. The courage to stand up for what's right, even against impossible odds. She gestured to Zix and the other Zephyrians. We took in these refugees when you turned your backs on them. We saw not weakness, but potential. Together, we've achieved more in months than either of us could have in years alone. A tentative silence fell over the chamber as Samantha's words sank in. Even some of the counselors looked thoughtful. If you abandon Earth now, she concluded, you're not just dooming one planet. You're betraying the very ideals of cooperation and progress that should unite all sentient beings. The choice is yours. Stand with us, or stand aside and watch as the bullies of the galaxy dictate the future. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then, to Samantha's amazement, a small, unassuming alien floated forward. Its body glowed with soft bioluminescence, and when it spoke, its voice was gentle but firm. The representative from Earth speaks wisdom beyond her years, it said. I, Santa of the Luminary Collective, propose we put it to a vote. Will the Galactic Council intervene to protect Earth and censure the Khazar aggression? As murmurs of discussion broke out across the chamber, Samantha allowed herself a glimmer of hope. It wasn't a victory, not yet. But it was a start. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the very nature of galactic politics, now hung in the balance. The bridge of the U.S. Defiant hummed with tension as Earth's first true battleship dropped out of warp on the edge of the solar system. Captain Elena Rodriguez surveyed her crew, a mix of humans and Zephyrians working in perfect synchronization. Status report, she barked, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. Her Zephyrian first officer, Lix, interfaced directly with the ship's systems. His antennae twitched as data flowed through his consciousness. Khazar fleet detected, Captain. 57 warships in attack formation, approaching Mars orbit. Elena's jaw clenched. The past month had been a whirlwind of preparation and innovation. After the Galactic Council's narrow vote to intervene, Earth had been granted limited access to advanced technologies to help defend against the Khazar threat. But it was the unique combination of human ingenuity and Zephyrian biotech interfacing that had produced their greatest weapon, the neural link. All hands, Elena announced. Her voice carried throughout the ship. "Prepare for neural sync. May our minds be as one." She closed her eyes, feeling the familiar rush as her consciousness merged with the ship's systems. Around her, human and Zephyrian crew members did the same. In an instant, they were no longer individuals, but a single, hyper-aware entity. The Defiant wasn't just a ship, it was an extension of their collective will. Through their shared perception, they saw the Khazar fleet in terrifying detail. Massive, weaponized behemoths bristling with planet-killing weaponry. "This is Captain Rodriguez of Earth Defense," Elena transmitted, her thoughts instantly translated into the Khazar language. "You are in violation of Galactic Council sanctions. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The response was predictable. A barrage of energy weapons fire erupted from the Khazar ships, streaking towards the Defiant. But the neural-linked crew was ready. With reflexes impossible for any single pilot, they danced the ship through the onslaught. Not a single shot connected. Return fire, Elena thought. And the Defiant's weapons, a hybrid of human nuclear technology and Zephyrian energy manipulation, blazed to life. The battle was joined. Across the solar system, similar scenes played out. The hastily assembled Earth Defense Fleet, though outnumbered, fought with a synchronicity that caught the Khazar completely off guard. Ships moved in perfect formation, covering each other's blind spots and focusing fire with devastating precision. On Earth, Dr. Samantha Chen paced nervously in the underground command center. Holographic displays showed the battle raging above, and her heart clenched every time she saw a friendly ship wink out of existence. "They're still pushing towards Earth," she muttered, more to herself than to Zix, who stood beside her. "We need something more." Zix's antennae drooped with worry. "The Khazar are relentless. They've conquered hundreds of worlds with these tactics. Even with our combined technology, I fear." He was cut off as alarms blared. A technician called out, panic in her voice. "Multiple Khazar ships have broken through. They're entering Earth's atmosphere." Samantha's blood ran cold. This was it, the moment they had dreaded. "Activate planetary defense grid," she ordered, her voice steady despite her fear. Across the globe, massive cannons emerged from hidden bunkers. In orbit, satellite weapons platforms hummed to life. It was Earth's last line of defense, and Samantha prayed it would be enough. As the Khazar ships descended, hell-bent on laying waste to Earth's cities, they were met with a furious barrage of fire. Energy beams lanced upwards, joined by swarms of missiles guided by AI systems that adapted in real time to the enemy's evasive maneuvers. But it wasn't enough. Khazar ships, though damaged, broke through. Samantha watched in horror as explosions blossomed across the holographic globe. Paris, Cairo, Shanghai. "No," she whispered, tears stinging her eyes. Zix placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Samantha," he said softly, "there's one more thing we can try. But it's dangerous, untested." She looked at him, hope warring with desperation in her eyes. "What is it?" "A global neural link," Zix explained. "Not just our ships and defense systems, but every human and Zephyrian on the planet. Our combined consciousness could potentially overload the Khazar systems." Samantha finished, her scientific mind racing ahead. The sheer processing power of billions of linked minds. It could work, but the strain on individuals. Zix nodded gravely. It could be fatal for some. Many more could suffer neurological damage. Samantha closed her eyes, the weight of the decision crushing down on her. How could she ask humanity to take such a risk? But as another explosion rocked the command center, she realized there was no choice. It was this, or extinction. "Do it," she said, her voice barely a whisper. What followed was a flurry of activity as the call went out. Across the planet, humans and Zephyrians alike prepared for the link. In homes, in shelters, in the cockpits of fighters and the bridges of starships, billions of minds readied themselves for an experience beyond imagining. Samantha and Zix stood side by side, hands clasped as the countdown began. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Initiate global neural link. The world exploded into light and sensation. Samantha gasped as her consciousness expanded, merging with Zix, with the technicians around her, with every living being on the planet. She was everyone and everything at once. She felt the fear of a child huddled in a London bomb shelter, the determination of a pilot fighting above Beijing, the hope of a Zephyrian refugee in New York. And together, they pushed back against the Khazar onslaught. Defense systems moved with impossible speed and coordination. Civilians used their linked minds to bolster computational power, cracking Khazar encryption in seconds. Every camera, every sensor on the planet became part of a single, all-seeing entity. In space, the tide of battle turned. Earth ships, guided by the collective will of humanity, danced through enemy fire and struck with devastating accuracy. Khazar vessels, suddenly finding their systems overloaded and glitching, fell into disarray. Admiral Vrak, supreme commander of the Khazar fleet, watched in disbelief as his forces crumbled. "Impossible," he growled. "These primitives, how can they?" His flagship rocked as a precise strike from the Defiant took out its main weapons array. Captain Rodriguez's voice, echoing with the power of billions, filled every Khazar communication channel. "This is humanity's final warning. Withdraw now or be destroyed. We are no longer alone, no longer divided. We stand united with ourselves and our Zephyrian allies. The galaxy will no longer tolerate your aggression." For a moment, silence reigned. Then, to the shock of all, the remaining Khazar ships began to retreat. The invasion was over. As the global neural link dissolved, Samantha found herself back in the command center, exhausted but exhilarated. Cheers erupted around her as the gravity of their victory sank in. Zix embraced her, his antennae quivering with emotion. "We did it," he whispered. "Against all odds, we prevailed." Samantha nodded, tears of joy and relief streaming down her face. "Not just prevailed," she said. "We've evolved. Humanity and Zephyrians together. This is just the beginning." As news of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy, the balance of power shifted. The Galactic Council, shocked by the defeat of the supposedly invincible Khazar, extended full membership to Earth and reinstated the Zephyrians. A new era of cooperation and exploration dawned. Earth, once considered a backwater, became a beacon of innovation and unity. The unique partnership between humans and Zephyrians inspired other species to rethink old prejudices and reach out across the stars. And at the forefront of this new age stood Samantha and Zix, two beings from different worlds who had found strength in their differences and hope in their shared dreams. Together, they looked to the future, a future brighter than either could have imagined alone. The universe, vast and full of wonders, awaited.